When the world is in crisis
การแก้ไขปัญหาโควิดถือเป็นวาระแห่งชาติ
and people are looking for hope and answers, Thai PBS World is there with you with the best minds of the day. Join us on Thai PBS World tonight, every weekdays at 7 p.m. Thai PBS World, we bring Thailand to the world.
สวัสดีค่ะ Very good evening and welcome to our 7 o'clock news Thai PBS World tonight. I am Natha Gomunwadin.
And good evening, I'm Thep Chaiyong. And today is the 28th consecutive day that we haven't had a single case of locally transmitted infection. Of course, this is something to celebrate. And again, not the time to lower our guard.
Yes, still have to keep our guard up. And in politics, there is a major development, Kun Thep Chai.
The latest is that, not a surprise, but finally has been confirmed that Deputy Prime Minister Prayut has agreed to take the helm of the Palang Pracharat Party, which is the core of the coalition government. The agreement was reached during a meeting between General Prayut and delegation of the senior members of Palang Pracharat Party.
So finally, the air is clear after rumor for about a few weeks. And General Prayut Wongsuwan is the leader of Palang Pracharat Party. And now let's follow what's happened with the new infection cases of COVID-19. Today, 3 new cases, and all are imported. All are Thai who returned from India. And they are people who are in state quarantine. And today is 28th day of no local infection in Thailand. The 3 new cases were Thai national returning from India and were detected in state quarantine, according to Dr. Tawisin Wisanuyothin, CCSA spokesperson. And 28th day is quite a milestone, Kun Thep Chai, for local transmission because it's important because 4 weeks is thought to be the maximum period of time the virus can live in a person without showing symptoms. And again, he told us that we cannot lower our guard in order to prevent further infections.
Right. So we can heave another big sigh of relief today with this good news. But even better news for those in the entertainment business. Finally, nightlife for Thais is most likely to return to normal or near normal next month, which is only about 10 days away. The result of a meeting between representatives of entertainment venues and government authorities on Sunday is paving the way for pubs, nightclubs, and karaoke parlors to reopen in the next phase of easing of the COVID-19 lockdown. However, their reopening will be accompanied by a series of health safety measures that center on physical distancing and hygiene. The compromise was reached in a meeting between General Nattapon Nak Panit, Deputy Army Chief and Deputy Chairman of the committee charged with easing lockdown measures and nightlife venue operators. And the agreement still needs to be endorsed by the Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, chaired by Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, when it meets on Friday.
And the meeting you saw right now happened last Thursday when musician and entertainer made an emotional appeal to the government to allow them to get back to work as the long closure had put them in dire financial situation. And the 5th stage of easing restriction will take place with or without the extension of the emergency decree for another month, according to General Nattapon Nakwanit, Deputy Army Chief and Deputy Chairman of the committee.
So hundreds of thousands of people in entertainment businesses, including musicians and entertainers, have been seriously impacted by the COVID-19 lockdown restrictions. All entertainment venues across the country have been closed since March. General Natapon said he will recommend to the COVID-19 committee that entertainment venues be allowed to resume operation on the condition that they adopt strict health safety measures to prevent a resurgence of the deadly virus. The measures will include a limit on the number of customers, temperature checks, tables to be at least 2 meters apart with partitions between them, good ventilation while singing or dancing will not be allowed, and only disposable menus can be used.
The voice of concern from the nightlife operators and workers, they say they still have to pay for rent, utility, accommodation, and food for staff, and they don't want to abandon their employees. And right now, there are over 100,000 self-employed musicians who are still struggling to survive because they can't work. And they have no income for 3 months. That's why they push CCSA to ease the restrictions.
Yeah. So this should be good news for those in this business, which has been suffering quite heavily from the pandemic. So another piece of good news, Gunatha, the progress in Thailand's coronavirus vaccine trial.
Right. Yes, it's good news because after about a month or so of trial on monkey, they are given the first sign of doses of candidate vaccine. They show satisfactory immune response on the monkey, according to Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovator Minister Suwit Mesinsi, he said on Monday. The candidate vaccine were administered on monkeys on May 23rd by researchers at the National Primate Research Center in Saratburi Province. And as of now, all the animals remain in good health and developed satisfactory immune response to the virus.
Okay, good. And don't forget the fact that the Public Health Minister, Kun Anutin Charnvirakul, has offered himself to be the first human to be tested with the trial vaccine.
So if the first stage of trial on monkey is successful, they will have trial on human in November or October. So that will be a next step of Thailand trial of vaccine on human.
And yes, of course, we have been talking a lot about this travel bubble, Sunatha, and it looks like we have come a bit closer to realizing that concept now. But details still need to be worked out with countries that we will come into having arrangement with. And this should be clearer in the next few days.
Yes, because as of now, they cannot specify any destinations that Thailand is planning to have bilateral agreement on travel bubbles. It's still like in the air and they haven't specified specific date. As of now, all the inbound flights are still banned to enter Thailand. And regarding the new normal style, Kun Thepchai, it has been the word that we discussed since the mid of last week when Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, he mentioned that he would like to take initiative in running the country with new normal approach.
Yeah, that's it. It has become sort of a talk of the town for days now after Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha made an appearance last week, right, Gunatha, on last Wednesday with what people believe to be a new look of his, right?
Right.
His appearance, the manner with which he addressed the country, and of course his style of delivery, which very much differed from what it used to be. And then he kept using the word new normals quite often in his speech. And of course there has been a big question mark as to what he really means by the new normal, right? But of course in his speech, Gunatha, he made a lot of promises that he never made before.
Yes, especially new normal and listening.
That's right. So that could be seen as part of his so-called new normal, listening to people's views.
Yes.
And of course his promises have been very much welcomed by many sectors of the society which long to see him to be more open to opinions and suggestions. But that means he has to seriously demonstrate that it's not mere words. And as the old saying goes, the proof is in the pudding, right? The first real test will be how he will reshuffle the cabinet, a long anticipated cabinet reshuffle.
Yes, so the pressure will be very much up on him. But now let's take a look what has PM has offered so far in order to take initiative of new normal running the government. Probably from a shining example in healthcare system, Thailand should show the way in economic recovery. And the best of Thai people shown in fight against pandemic should be harnessed to drive Thailand into the future.
He spent a lot of time talking about how Thais from various walks of life cooperated to fight against the pandemic, and that resulted in this big success for Thailand for being able to contain the spread of the virus so effectively. So the question from him is, if we could do this while facing the virus together, why can't we do this together in normal times? Yeah.
Yes, he thanks to all Thai who has been working, have been cooperating in fighting COVID-19. And he also mentioned that Thai people should move forward together as if facing another crisis. And government would like to adopt new normal approach in running the country. Government will be open to public participation in offering ideas and suggestions on future projects.
That's interesting because he mentioned about how Thai have been working together during the current crisis. So he said maybe we need another crisis so that people can work together as we have been doing. So
yes.
And then he mentioned that his government will be open to public participation in offering ideas and suggestions. This is something quite new because General Prayut has been known as someone who doesn't very listen to opinions that differ from his. So
yes.
This is the first time that he has made it public,
yes.
that he is willing to listen to views from others. So let's see how he will go about doing this.
Yes, it's quite clear outline that he would like to listen more to people. And also members of public will have a role in evaluating performance and projects of government. Government to adopt proactive approach and review its strategies and stop all politicking and disinformation.
Okay. He emphasized quite a lot about the need for politicians to stop their politicking and to end the ongoing disinformation campaigns by some sectors in the society. So he wasn't very specific as to whom he was talking about, but it's quite understood that he was most likely referring to members of opposition camps or people who were on the other side of the aisle. So
yes.
He said the country needs cooperation and needs solidarity, so we should work together. That's basically the main message from him. But as we said that the proof is in the pudding, so his first test will be how he will reshuffle his cabinet, right? Because if he talks about new normal, a new normal certainly needs new thinking, and that will be reflected in how what his cabinet will look like after the anticipated reshuffle. As we all know, members of Palang Pracharat, the core component of the coalition government, are jostling for a cabinet reshuffle, and some other coalition partners are also expected to replace their incumbent cabinet members. It remains to be seen how big a say that General Prayut will have on the new lineup. In an interview with the media today, Gunata, the Prime Minister said it's up to each of the coalition partners to propose how they want to change the cabinet seats under their quota. But it's up to me to decide, and I have the prerogative to determine the final outcome, and that's what he said today. And as we mentioned earlier, that the next step of the political scene is getting clearer now, right?
Yes, especially with leadership of Palang Pracharat Party, because a group of leaders within Palang Pracharat Party has already shown formal invitation to General Prayut Wongsuwan that they would like him to be leader of Palang Pracharat Party. So he said yes, and he said keep united and keep working and don't be divided. That's the message from General Prayut Wongsuwan.
But the strange thing is that after the last minute today, when he was questioned by reporters at the government house on this issue, he still kept insisting that I don't know, this thing hasn't happened yet. I mean, he's still stuck to his old line of addressing this question. But as Kunatha mentioned, it's rather clear that the Palang Pracharat Party has already received a commitment from him that he will take over the helm of the party. So that means that tomorrow there will not be the need for the fanfare planned by the party earlier. Remember that? Last week they said that tomorrow high-level delegation of the party will troop to the government house to extend a formal invitation for General Prayut to lead the party. So after he said yes today, so tomorrow's fanfare will no longer be necessary.
Yes. So let's see from now on what's the next move within Palang Pracharat Party, and with the cabinet reshuffle, what will be happening next. So please stay tuned with Thai politics, no dull moment at all. And Kun Thepchai, in London over the weekend, there was a big protest of people who would like to show support on George Floyd's death and Black Lives Matter. It originated in the US, but right now, people in other countries share this with strong sentiment, especially in London over the weekend. So follow this. Take a look at this report for more details.
Thousands of people marched at central London on Saturday as part of the Black Lives Matter protests, which are taking place across Britain for a fourth weekend. While the numbers fell far short from the 10,000 people who attended a mega rally on June 6 in Victoria Park, it was still a strong showing for anti-racism movement that support equality in the community.
Until there is justice, I will still keep fighting, because I'm like, there just needs to be a lot of reform within the UK, within the US, within the world to do with racial equality, and until we achieve that, nothing else is really like as important, because it's going to affect me for the rest of my life, obviously.
This is a symbolic stand for the movement, which has a list of demands. Some of those demands include defunding the police and redistributing budget, that money to another social services, such as housing and mental health care, but mainly they demand equality.
I think union is the most important thing with things like this, so I'm trying to support that coming together. But I think the movement is so important.
In London, there have been endorsements and prayers made by organizations throughout the city to address systemic racism. That includes both London City Council and the London Police Board.
This whole thing started with the killing of George Floyd, and everyone's shocked at that. That shouldn't have happened. The police there in Minneapolis, the police officer in Minneapolis has been arrested. He'll be put on trial, and that's absolutely right. But the same thing has happened to white people in America as well. And so the kind of narrative that there's systemic racism in the US and in the UK is wrong.
That's what happened in London over the weekend. And another major spotlight is in the US over rally by President Trump in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It must be beyond expectation that people who attend the rally is much less than was expected in the beginning. What really happened during the rally right now, Kun Nat Bunnag is joining us. So what really went on at the rally?
Well, if you look on the surface, it looks like there's a lot of supporters who joined the rally, but in reality, there are a lot of empty seats during the rally as well. So unfortunately, it's not really a good day for President Trump at all. So I would say that it's unexpected, but guess who took the responsibility of the empty seats?
But all the seats were reserved before the rally started.
Yes, most of them were reserved, but the culprits of the empty seats are TikTok users as well as K-pop fans who actually completed the free online registration for the Trump rally with no intention of going to that rally. So that is pretty...
So what we're seeing on the screen now are among those TikTok's fans, right? Who have
Yes.
are being held responsible for the low turnout.
Yeah.
What did they do?
Yeah.
But it's more like they just decided to go through this free online registration with their fake names and saying that, okay, we're going to attend the rally, but they didn't.
Okay.
And mostly they are young people.
Yeah, most of them are young people, young TikTok users, as well as K-pop fans. So there are some interesting numbers here is that the BOK Center, which is where the rally was held, has a capacity of 19,000 seats. But in reality, when the rally took place, it was estimated that there were only around 6,000 people who really joined, as opposed to the campaign manager for President Trump, who said that there had been more than 1 million requests to attend. How contradicting is that with the numbers?
Not even 1/3 of attendance. But if we take a look at the frame, the narrow frame, it looks like very crowded.
Yes, on the surface it looks really crowded, but unfortunately, if you really focus
if you look
on,
up,
yeah, these are the empty seats.
Empty seats. But this is what Trump would describe as the work of fake news.
and
The empty seats,
disinformation.
right?
I would say it's part of the fake news, and as well as the users who have decided to maybe we'll just fill up the registration for it and we'll just not go.
Okay, so needless to say, Trump must be very disappointed.
Very disappointed. but actually the rally went on with other remarks, and most of the remarks have been very controversial with the testing. So let's have a listen to what he had to say during the rally.
They call me, they say, the job you're doing, here's the bad part. When you do testing to that extent, you're going to find more people, you're going to find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please. By the way, it's a disease, without question, has more names than any disease in history. I can name Kung Flu, I can name 19 different versions of names.
Okay, to keep it simple, President Trump thinks that the administration should slow down with the testing because the robust testing turns up too many cases of COVID-19 in the United States. But later on, a White House official said that the remarks during the rally was only a joke.
Yeah, he said the president was only kidding.
And it's,
but kidding with lives and deaths of people was something that didn't go down well with many people.
And it definitely sparked a big outrage here because saying that slow down the testing, and then you come up with a joke, it's like, what? Seriously? And the response here, the Democrats have been very quick to respond and to fight back with President Trump's remarks. One of them is Ms. Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, who said, testing, tracing, treatment, and social distancing are the only tools we have to stop the spread of the coronavirus. The president's efforts to slow down desperately needed testing to hide the true extent of the virus mean more Americans will lose their lives.
Well, it's obvious that President Trump has been very sensitive with the figures of infections, right?
Yep.
And he has been playing down the numbers consistently. And so no surprise that he would say something like that.
Definitely. And besides Nancy Pelosi, even Mr. Trump's rival Joe Biden even said, just speed up the testing. Speed up the testing. That is the most simple thing that you could do to curb the widespread of COVID-19.
Well, so that's not very good day for President Trump at
Not
all.
at all. Not at all.
So quite interestingly, because the American media focus not on the contents of his speech, but more on the size of the cloud.
Well, two parts that are controversial. The empty seats, which are much of a stir because of the TikTok users, and what he said about the widespread testing.
That's right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kun Nat.
Thank you.
So that's the way things were for the first rally of President Trump, and it must be very disappointing for the president because he tried to always boast that people would like to attend his rally. And back to Thailand, it has been 28 consecutive days of having no local transmission of COVID-19, and Ambassador of Australia to Thailand has this very kind word for Thailand's performance.
สวัสดีครับผมแอลัน แมคคินนันเอกอัครราชทูตออสเตรเลียประจำประเทศไทยผมเพิ่งได้ข่าวว่าประเทศไทยไม่มีผู้ติดเชื้อในประเทศได้28 วันแล้วยินดีด้วยครับผมหวังว่าคนออสเตรเลียและคนไทยจะได้ไปมาหาสู่กันได้มากขึ้นเร็วๆนี้ขอให้ทุกคนรักษาสุขภาพด้วยสวัสดีครับ
And still, we need to keep our guard up to keep statistics as best as we can for Thailand. And regarding the Trump rally at Tulsa over the weekend in Oklahoma, what's really the implication of President Trump's performance and U.S. election in November this year? Right now, we have Dr. Vibun Hongpoon Prasit, advisor to American Studies Association in Thailand, joining us live in the studio. สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์ Good evening.
สวัสดีครับ Thank you for joining us. I'm sure that it must have come as a big disappointment to President Trump. I think he very much hoped that this rally in Oklahoma would be a great opening shot for his campaign rally for the rest of the year, right?
Yes.
But it turned out to be a big flop because of the size of the crowd. Did you watch the rally?
Yes, I did.
So what was your reaction to that?
Well, before that, I think maybe we should talk a little bit about the process of the selection. You see, they just finished the primary, right? So and supposed to have the convention next month, but because of COVID, that's why they moved to August. So that's why Trump wanted to start the rally. Okay, and it's very interesting that he himself picked a holiday, which is the 19th. Okay, 19th, which was Friday, right?
Yeah.
Well, that happens to be a historical day because that date, way back 99 years ago, was the date that the white people killed a lot of the, there's a massacre, kill of the black. They call that the Juneteenth, June 19th, so they call it Juneteenth. And that area was, they called that the Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street at the time. The richest black were there at that time. Anyway, so it wasn't a good day. So finally, I think it was a Secret Service who was black of President Trump, who said to Trump that June 19th was a very important day for the blacks, so you shouldn't be talking about it. That's why he moved it to Saturday. Okay. Yeah. And that was a bad omen, number one, right? He missed the date, right?
Okay.
And secondly, like you mentioned before about the TikTok, role of TikTok, right?
And K-pop fans.
K-pop fan, yeah. So
it's a new phenomenon. I mean, the role played by TikTok and K-pop fans in American elections.
Right. And it worked to a certain extent because Trump people thought that they were overbooked. Lots of people.
They were expecting as many as 1 million.
Yes, that's right. And he planned the outdoor speech as well. There was the stage outside of it, but they had to cancel it later on. So things turned bad from the very beginning. I think in Thailand we would say that this is a bad fortune or something like that, something bad happening. Okay. So and when he started talking, he felt very bad because it was only like 6,000 people there. he was expecting like 1 million, or even 100,000, right?
And he's someone who is very obsessed with figure, with the size of the clouds, right?
Right. And he wanted that so much. And if you listen to the content of what he was talking, it was more about him than more about the country. For example, I don't understand why he didn't mention a little bit about the George Floyd thing.
No,
That
not mention a word.
Not mention a word
Yep.
about George Floyd. And he was playing with the pandemic. He was saying like the flu, like a kung flu, not kung fu, but kung flu. Meaning
Again, blaming China indirectly.
Yeah, and foreign virus, that kind of thing. And he spent, I think, about 10, 15 minutes talking about trying to give excuse on when he walked down the ramp at the West Point, right? And he said that he could do that. He said that the reason that he walked slow because he wore the leather sole shoe and he didn't want it to be slippery. Anyway,
Not very Trump style.
And he showed that he can drink the water with one hand, and then throw the glass, after that. So it was. I think
because he used to be seen as drinking bottled water with
the two hands, right. And see, I think he has a very very soft skin, really, and he needs to correct
I think
that.
his speech was also quite divisive.
Right.
Because he kept blending those who joined the Black Lives Matter protests as radical lefts.
Right.
And then accused Joe Biden, his would-be opponent in the presidential election, of being controlled by the radical left.
But I think the key thing is that he played out the coronavirus thing because even though his base, they're still afraid of the virus. And he was the leader who said that, okay, you're supposed to wear the mask and everything. So people are afraid. And that's what's one of the reasons why they show up less. I think that's the thing.
But the timing is not quite good because last week it was about the book by Bolton.
Yeah, by Bolton.
Very, very controversial. Do you think he still had that in mind, that perhaps he's not quite happy?
Like I said, it's a bad omen for him right now. Everything turned bad. Everything's bad. And he lost 2 cases in the Supreme Court as well. And the first one that the Supreme Court said that the Constitution protects the people of all sexes, includes the transgender as well, which he didn't like that. And secondly, he lost the thing about the dreamer, which I think you already talked about.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So I say that this is a bad one for him. Everything turned bad for him, right?
So what will be the next move, do you think? Because he will have to have another rally
next
soon.
Saturday. Saturday. Yeah, he's going to have it, and was that where that is. I had it before, but I forgot it. Anyways, the reason that he picked Oklahoma to Tulsa was because 4 years ago, at this state, he won like 62% to 39% to Hillary Clinton. So he thought that was a good place to start. Besides, I would say that this Oklahoma thing is a red state, deep red state, because all the most of the Republicans there, and that's why he chose that.
Okay. Despite all the excuses on the part of the Trump's campaign management, do you think the fact that so few people turned up for his rally yesterday is a sign that support for him is slipping, even in the state that used to be very supportive of him?
Like I said, there's a few reasons for that. Number one, it's a virus, right? Coronavirus. His lawyer asked everybody who attended to sign like an advance contract, say that if you attend the rally and if you get the virus, you cannot sue us. Yeah, they have that too. They have that as well. Okay, everybody has to sign that. That scares some of the people off because that state also has a high percentage of virus as well. Even though compared to other states, might not be as high, but it's still high, right? And he didn't require everybody to wear the mask. I think they also give the mask for free, but since Trump himself did not wear it, and his base feel that it might offend him to wear one. This is nonsense. Trump could have said that, okay, let's wearing the face mask. And everybody would do it. Everybody would do it.
No,
but he didn't try to do it.
He has never been a strong fan of face mask wearing anyway.
And you already know that, right? That 6 of his staffers already cut.
Even though last week he also mentioned that people who wear masks would like to protest against him.
Yeah, right.
That's the message from him.
No, he also said this, not only him, but the Republicans, the conservatives say that by forcing people to wear the mask, that is like the violation of the human right. Because the right to speak. Really, they talk about that as well.
So, but how would you look at this event, this particular event in Tulsa, within the bigger context of the presidential election?
I think that it's not a good start, right? And the thing is that I think it's going to influence some middle Republican to probably not sure whether to go for him for the next election or not. Because some people already came out and say that they are not going to elect Trump. George Bush said that he won't elect Trump. And,
Colin Powell?
Yeah, Colin Powell, and other as well. So this is not good because he needs to have his base firm, and because and some of his assistants already warned him, advised him that he should change, he should tone down about this virus thing and everything. And he said that he wants to be him. He wants to be him. He said, if I change, then it won't be me. They should like me the way I am. That's what he said. And then some of the assistants say that Trump says something like, okay, if I win, I win. If I don't win, then I'll have something else to do. It means that he's not really into it that much, or maybe he knows that his chance not that sure. It's funny. The first time, right? The first time in 2016, right? Yeah. He thought that he lost. Yes. He didn't prepare to be president, right? Yes. And then he won, right? And now for the second time, he wanted to win, but he started to realize that he might not win.
He's prepared for the worst.
Yeah, he prepared for the worst. So I think if you analyze what he said carefully, you see that he did not talk about the prospect of what he's going to do the next 4 years. Nothing that came out, he's always talking about the same thing, make America great again, that kind of thing. But what are the things that you are going to do the next 4 years that people want to know?
I think he spent most of his time in his speech blaming the Democrats.
Yes, that's right. Blaming China for the virus, blaming Joe Biden for this kind of thing, right?
But among new generation, it seems that young people do not buy his idea at all.
You're right. I think this is a change, and this is a time that I think the teen, the first time that they are going to vote, right? Because they had 19 that they can vote in the U.S. And I think that the teens now is very furious about the human rights thing, and Trump did not try to correct the problem. Okay, he didn't even try to mention about the problem. So this make it expand a lot further, not only to the US but to the UK as well, which is also a racist there as well.
But do you think Trump has time to correct himself, because this is June, the election will be in November? He still has time.
Yes, if he will change. I believe that Joe Biden is not a strong candidate, all right? So if Trump had been Trump before, the same old Trump, I don't think Biden can beat him. But I think Trump right now, he's going to be beaten by himself. That's right. Meaning he is destructive right now. He just he's got upset for everything that's turned out to be wrong, and that's going to be in his mind all the time. And he is out on a Twitter, and then people come in Twitter and comment negative thing, and he doesn't like that. So I think he take little thing. Into consideration. He didn't have to come out and spend 20 minutes try to give an excuse on when he walked down the ramp. And he did that, right?
Well, he's so sensitive about how he is seen.
Right.
How he is respected or not.
And I think because of this thing in this month, a little bit this month, I think some prominent Republicans are having a second thought about re-elect him. Okay. I read one senator who said that he might not elect him. So this is something that's shocking, and he was upset of the Supreme Court judges, and he said that I have a feeling that the Supreme Court doesn't like me, which is bad. How do you say that? How do you say it like that, you know?
But what if Republican doesn't want to support him? Can they fight for another candidate to fight
I don't
with
think so.
Trump?
No, I thought that's too late already.
At this stage.
At this stage, that's too late already. But the point is that if he, like you said, we can never guess right about Trump, right? If he can come back to himself again, you know, and adjust it a little bit and believe his advisor, maybe might turn around. And another thing, don't forget, he expect that the vaccine will come out before the election. And I think he's seeing that is going to take care of the virus and the economy.
That's the bill that will save
That
him.
is,
But overall, does American media too harsh on him? Because mostly the report pay attention to the empty seat during the rally, not very much on content.
If you look at CNN, yes, probably they like that, right? But even the Fox News, Fox News also report that he has a disadvantage in terms of the polling right now. And he, instead of reminding him that, hey, I need to do something, he was mad at Fox News. He said that, why didn't you bring this nonsense statistic out? You know, so I think if Trump's going along this way, he's going to have a hard time with it. Okay, but we never know. We will never know. The only problem would be this, you know. I think Joe Biden is not a very strong candidate, and he himself have an amnesia. You know, sometimes when he speaks, he forgets things that he
So
said.
if
Right?
he is going to win, he will do so by default.
Right. And I would suggest to him that now don't try to say so much thing, you know. He need to follow the speech, you know, the written speech and things like that, because I think he has a problem, because I think he has a cancer in his brain, and that might affect his thinking, his process of thinking, and sometimes he just say something that unbelievable, you know.
You know, the only time that, to me, I mean, I also listened to his whole speech, and to me, the only time that Trump was wielding some carrot was when he talked about how the economy will pick up next year, right?
Yeah.
Without any evidence, without any concrete evidence to support his claim, right?
Right.
Because of course, next year, because he need people to elect him this year.
Right. Right. And but anyway, I would say that for the better of the world, I think Biden is still better, because at least, you know, he still be a diplomat, and he won't go around and pick a fight with every countries in the world, and that's
better for countries and region as well, right?
Yeah, in a way, I would say for every country, because Trump right now, maybe he's very nationalistic. He just thinks that America is the exception, you know, and he doesn't want to be friends with Europe, you know, West Germany, even the UK, and he just started to fight with everybody, and that gives time for China to try to come up strong, and that's why I think China and Russia would very much like Trump to be re-elected. And he didn't.
That's why I read in the article today, with a headline, we say that China has a man in Washington, D.C. His name is Trump.
So maybe even Kim Jong-un, you know, North Korea, he still wants Trump to be the next prime minister, and the next president, because he thinks he still can handle Trump, because you handle Trump, you give him a few nice things, and then he'll be nice to you.
So far in the 3.5 years under President Trump, what do you think of the position of America in the world?
Economically, I think the United States is still strong in that sense, okay, because of the foundation, the strong foundation, and everything. But politically, I think the United States is divided from the world, and that's going to be not good, because I think China is quietly coming up, okay, and in terms of geopolitical politics, I think America is going to lose some interest, some influence in the world, because when you become stingy, people does. You suppose, if you're a big brother, you're supposed to be generous a little bit. Now, if you go to everybody and you say that if you don't pay your due, you know, I'm going to take this back, I'm going to take it back. How could you be the boss? You know, it is something like that. Because if you want to be the leader of the free world, the reason that you had been the leader of the free world, because you were generous. You know, you don't say that, well, I pay this much to the UN and you should be able to pay that much. You don't say that. And that's in return, you get privileges. for a lot of things that you do. For example, like the dollars. Now, if he's doing like this, I'm not an economist, but I think the U.S. might be in trouble because now they keep printing the dollar with no gold to back up, right? And the reason that they can use it right now is because people still give credit to it.
That's true. Yeah.
And China has the reserve of this.
The biggest reserve in the world now.
Of the world. So, what about if every country at the same time starts saying that we don't trust you anymore? If you're going to print new dollars, then you need to have gold to back up.
Yeah. And Trump has done a lot to undermine the confidence in the U.S.
Right. So I think economically, it is scary to see what's going to happen next.
Okay, let's see how he will change his tactic in the next rally.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether the approach will be the same or he want to be more aggressive or less confrontational.
Right, but I think Trump will be Trump, so he's going to be the same, right? And I just hope that with this protests going on, they should be able to change it because what Trump did was that. Oh, by the way, he lost that the Dreamers, right? But that was only part of it because the judgment, the Supreme Court judgment didn't say that he could do it by the executive order, which means that he still come back and do with the executive order because can repeal that. And that's going to give the Dreamers, a lot of Dreamers, that's about 700,000, to go to the election booth and try to
make sure that he doesn't
come back. Right. So everything point to people who try to go against him. So I don't know. I used to think that Trump would be coming back with no problem, but we have to see right now. We have to see how if he, like you said, would he come back? Would he change? Would he believe more in some of his advisor or not? Because so far right now, I don't think he believes any advice that go against his mind, and that's a problem.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for talking with us on English version for Thai PBS World Tonight. And that's all from Thai PBS World Tonight on President Trump and implication on US election in this year in November. But please stay tuned with us because Dr. Vibun Pong will be with us for Tan Lok with Thai PBS World. We'll come back at 8 o'clock tonight. Bye for now. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
When the world is in crisis
การแก้ไขปัญหาโควิดถือเป็นวาระแห่งชาติ
and people are looking for hope and answers, Thai PBS World is there with you with the best minds of the day. Join us on Thai PBS World Tonight, every weekdays at 7 p.m. Thai PBS World, we bring Thailand to the world.